Hey, ¿qué pasa, Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. Like always, before we begin, I want to thank a couple of my sponsors. I want to thank my friend Camilo, Jake, Edward Velasquez. I want to thank John Cabrera from Mercor, Eddie Lopez from Roots Creative. I also want to thank Dents on Border. If you have any small dents or scratches on your car, make sure you contact Dents on Border. I'll leave a link to their Facebook page so you can go visit them. I also want to thank Sergio Tacos and Hotdogs, serving with over 8 years of experience serving the Imperial, San Diego, and Yuma counties with Mexicali-style hot dogs and taquizas. Contact Sergio at 760-562-0057 or follow Sergio's Tacos and Hot Dogs on Facebook. Finally, I want to thank David Gastelum. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the Imperial or San Diego counties, make sure you contact David. His phone number is 760-235-9576. He's not only a realtor, but an investor with over 20 years of experience, and he'll teach you along the way in one of the most important investments of your life. So, my guest today is a returning guest. I think he's been on like 5 times or something. And it's crazy because I mentioned this in a previous episode that you were on. Every time you're on, it's with a different job description or different role. I remember the first time you were on, I think you were my first or second guest, and we just talked about podcasting, stand-up comedy.
And because you had someone cancel, right?
And you were in the neighborhood. So
in the neighborhood.
Yeah. So it was a good coincidence that you were in the neighborhood. And then the second time, I think you were running for the Brawley Elementary School Board. And you know, every time it's different. You were for the other time you were on for the Imperial County Air Pollution, I think.
Yep, air pollution.
And today you come in here with the new position. You're the Imperial County Public Information Officer.
Yeah, it sounds good. Thanks. No, yeah, it's been quite a ride.
Yeah.
It's a heck of a year, heck of a career, but just this past year was pretty wild. Yes, I'm the public information officer. So I handle and represent the county of Imperial, not just the board of supervisors, but the various departments that fall under the umbrella of the county of Imperial. I guess, last March, so I spent my entire career in the county. So I'm grateful for the county. I started as a volunteer, and, I got the call for the job and then the announcement. I thought it was just gonna be, hey, I got it, congrats. But man, it's like an emotional, like way more emotional than I expected. Just when I look back to the past year than just like time with the county. But just the support from the community of people just saying congrats. I felt like people were cheering, like were happy for me. Like, I don't know, it just was really, I didn't expect it. It's, so it's a position that, I highly regard. It's a lot of responsibility, and I think I'm ready at this point in my career, point in my life, to represent the county and inform the people, build trust and communication. Let the people know what's going on, so, not just during the pandemic, but beyond.
Yeah. So in layman's terms, what's like a day-to-day, or I mean, I know right now it's going to be different, because there's so much, the pandemic and then other things going on. But like, what would be like your day-to-day, kind of thing as in your new position?
Yeah, it varies. It's every day could be something different. There's short-term, long-term goals, immediate happenings, and the county is a small organization, so it's just me. Various departments have public information officers as well. Health department has a team, has 2 public information officers, and then others that assist. And, sheriffs, fire have their own liaisons. Even at the air district, although I was an analyst, I still handled public information duties. I was at the area agency on aging. I was information assistance coordinator, which is kind of a different way of saying public information officer. Every day, though, it's working with the media on happenings, not just what we want to get out on programs. Like, I know you saw the fellowship program from our library and promoting that, but also things that are happening in the county, even with COVID, or say for example a sinkhole popped up and we get a call from the media, hey, we heard this is going on, can you give us an update? So every day could be different, so every day it's like, what's going to happen today? And it's keeping my ear to the ground, making sure my network and relationships, not just media but community members, other electeds, are well, so they can share the info that we can collaborate on. But also like long-term things such as like tourism. I think as I've said before, the county, our valley is a very unique spot. And so how can we establish things like tourism and bring people, business outreach? So every day is different. And like I said, most counties have a team of public information officers. With the county being small, it's just me. I'm working with the other PIOs from different departments. So it's a lot. It's always different. It's always changing. Like I said, I just started Monday, my first week. And I think, my first week. And so, but I've been helping out. Like I said, when I was helping with the press release, writing down my career, last March, I got the call. I was at the Air District. And then when the pandemic came, the emergency was declared, I got the call, hey, you're going to go help out the Joint Information Center in communications. And so from March to now, until I got the call and the announcement was made that I got this position, I hopped around from different department to department. I went from back in March, I was working on Hebrew OES, Office of Emergency Services, and I jumped to the CEO's office, working out of the conference room. And I went back to the Air District to help out. And I went to the health department. And the health department, I got moved around. I went back to the Air District. And then I went back to the CEO's office. And then here, now I'm staying there. And so, for the last year, I just worked out of I have a briefcase, which is right here. The last year I worked out of my briefcase and with the laptop, my iPad, my phone. So it was a wild year. I learned a lot. I learned so much in the past year, not from just what I experienced and the work I did, but working with so many different people. Like I said, I worked in different departments. So I saw, people from the health department, from the CEOs, the administration center, our board, the Air District, OES. So I saw firemen and law enforcement, just people putting in work day in and day out during this whole pandemic, working from home and changing our schedules, families impacted with kids being at home, telecommuting. So it was tough. It was a wild year. I learned a lot. And I think it just all prepared me now as a public information officer. I don't know if I was ready for this prior to this pandemic, but after the year that, I experienced working throughout, it's really helped me, and I think I'm ready. And obviously, I went through the process, and I was selected and appointed. That my work, I think, spoke for itself, and that's helped. When people reached out over the past few days, I think the thing that got me the most was like people saying, "Oh, you worked for it, like you earned it."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just I didn't expect that. Like I didn't know what to expect. I thought I was just gonna get the job, and hey, happy for you. Now it's time to work. But that support and going back, like I said, writing the press release and writing my bio, just thinking back to my career. I started as a volunteer, like straight up. I was waiting on tables at Town Pump for my parents, and Norma Sycon, the late great Norma Sycon, was there eating. I was like, hey, I just graduated my bachelor's. I need some experience. Can I volunteer? And she goes, yeah. Like in retrospect, I look back like I think she's trying to enjoy her dinner. And here I am like, hey, can I, but she understood. I think she respected me just putting myself out there. And so I would drive to the hospital, the old hospital by the sheriff's office every day. I would drive there at 8 a.m. and file for 4 hours. And then a position opened up. This is in 2015. And in 2016, I got hired as a community service worker 1, which is, outreach. And then got promoted. I've worked under some great people. Like I said, Norma Sycon, who I learned a lot from. I briefly even worked under Cheryl Walker, who I still learn from. I watch her meetings regularly, and I've learned a lot from her. Rosie Blankenship, I learned so much from her. And then, everything just, I've been very fortunate in the circumstances I found myself at the county working with, really great leaders and people. And now I'm in a role where I can highlight that. Like, I know what it's like to be a volunteer. I know what it's like to be a community service worker. Having to, file and print out and do the documents and be behind the scenes. So, I feel like that's all allowed me to understand the employees like I represent. Like I said, when I say I represent the county, it's not just the organization, but also employees and who are residents of our county. So I represent the community, and so it's a big responsibility. But I'm ready. I feel like I can put on for the county, and I will.
Was this something that, like, being in communication, was it something, because for those of you that might not know, Gil had a podcast before I did. It's called Small Town News Podcast. Was communication something that you wanted to do, like, as a career, or did it just happen?
Other than stand-up comedy, when I was a teenager, which is a form of communication, which I tell people, people ask me, like, because, I'm not afraid to talk. Even not just with friends, but even in meetings and making presentations, and like, oh, how do you, where can I get some public speaking skills? And I tell them, go to an open mic. Go to an open mic. Try to make people laugh. Even if you bomb, that feeling of being alone on a stage and people waiting for you to say something funny is different. Like making a presentation, you just have to give them information and be engaging.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're doing comedy, I think know what it's like.
Yeah, I think giving a presentation is easier than stand-up because, you normally, like, you'll have notes or a presentation that you can go off of, right? But stand-up, it's like, sometimes you'll forget your set because if you don't get like the reaction you're expecting, your mind will go blank like super fast. So I think giving a present, and to me, I totally agree with you that stand up, like, to me, helped me, be more comfortable in public speaking, like doing this kind of thing. I feel that, there's no other feeling like, being up on a stage and trying to make people laugh. And sometimes shit doesn't work. And it's like what you can't do it.
Even like how because you practice. I know sometimes people think stand-up comedy is someone just going up there and winging it, but there's part of it too. But it's material. It's material that's honed, and even like you can say it at home or you can say it to your friends, and it can kill. And then you say it on stage, and your tone might be a little different.
Yeah.
Or you have a little bit nervous. You're not as confident, or the crowd doesn't get it, and it completely bombs. So. Yeah, stand-up comedy is a combination of pre-rehearsed material, spontaneity, on the fly, riffing, crowd work, interaction. It's all those things all on one moment, and you're the focus and on the spotlight. And, it helped me prepare for communications. And I never planned on it. When I was 18, 19, I went to IVC to get into nursing. That's where that's where the money was at. And, it wasn't for me. And then I took a few years off and got into some trouble and had to reevaluate a lot of things. And going back to, I guess, disappointment of this position, when I say I wouldn't look back on my career, I also look back even farther and just where I was at 10 years ago and, where I'm at today. And I think that too was emotional for me, and I didn't expect that. There's a lot of reflection, from the time the announcement came on Friday. And from Friday all weekend, I just sat there and whoa, like, hey, it just felt really good. It felt way better than I ever expected. Because there was a lot of times I had podcasts, and I was pretty wild on my podcast, and there's times though I was thinking, is this worth it? Am I getting anywhere? Am I burning bridges? Am I making connect? What is this all for? Is it ever going to pay off? Because at the end of the day, I do have a family. I do have my daughter. I do have Holly. I still have to provide. And, where's time, like, am I hurting my own career for the sake of being funny, being a joker, or am I really informing people? Like what am I doing? And I've learned throughout all of it. I think even I was telling, I think during the interview, they asked kind of about that. And I just said, I think also why I felt all the, like, so much support is people have seen me grow. you talked about it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, different stages. And, you know, this county was my first job is in a career. I've never worked in an office,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so I went in like a wide-eyed volunteer, just, hey, what is this? Yeah, I didn't know anyone. I have no relative, no friends. I didn't even know what the board of supervisors did, you know, 6 years ago. And I just kind of went in wide-eyed, and then I got hired. And the first thing I did was set interviews up with each of the supervisors, just some random community service work. I remember emailing them and say, hey, can I meet with you? I want to know what the county is about, and just promote myself. Let's share about myself with you. And they did all meet with me. And so I went from, you know, wide-eyed kid to then a mischievous little kid, kind of, you know, causing a little havoc here and there, to then the angsty, rebellious teen, just doing anything for attention, to now I'm an adult, you know, I've grown. And so I think people have seen this progression of me, not just figuring out my career and my path, but just also myself and what kind of role I want to play in the community. Do I want to just maybe be a provocateur instigator, or do I want to really be a beacon of information and really help lead our valley to fulfill the potential I know we have? So I think, yeah, I never planned on getting communications. I never really knew where my path was going to take me. I knew I just want to be active, want to be engaged. And it's led me here. I think, you know, the different roles I've had, positions I've had in my career, I've always like, okay, what's next? Just like going back to supporting my family, and not that it's about money, but, you know, just I got to pay the bills, you know, and I want to provide my daughter and Holly what they want, you know, and what they need. And so I feel this position, I'm not getting paid big bucks still, but I'm in a position status wise and even also monetary wise where I could focus on this and not always have to keep looking at what's next. You know, it doesn't mean I can't get complacent, but, you know, there's some comfort and security knowing, hey, you know, this is just settled, you know, because I'm always, like I said, I'm always having to look, what's next? I can settle and focus on this job. It's really important. That has a lot of vital duties and responsibilities, and I can do it to the best of my ability.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, you mentioned, you know, growing up, I've known you. I mean, how long has it been since we met?
Probably 6 years,
more or less, right? And in those 6 years, you know, even, you know, me, that, you know, we get to talk like every so often. I remember there was a while. Was it during the pandemic or before we used to do like Facebook, Instagram lives? Was it during the pandemic?
Yeah.
We would hang out like I think it was almost every Friday. And you know, we meet sporadically here and there. And yeah, like I've noticed that, you know, that change of, I think when I noticed the biggest change was when you decided to run for the school board. You know, I think you stopped doing your podcast for one, and even stand up for a while. Because I noticed that, you know, you wanted to project this, you know, I'm somebody that, I want the best for the kids of Brawley. You know, your daughter is a student in Brawley. So, you know, it's crazy how, yeah, like people change, because a lot of people say, like, especially now in this age of cancel culture, you know, they find something that you said when you were in high school and junior high, and, you know, they try to say like that's you all of your life. But I feel that, yeah, people change throughout their lives. We all make mistakes. We all do, you know, crazy things just because we're human, you know. And it's crazy how, you know, I got to see, you know, a big change in you in like just a couple of years. And you know, it's crazy how to me, it's been like so fast that it's led up to this, especially in the last year. You know, yeah, like you said, you were jumping around from here to there in the county with, you know, helping out with all these different things as you needed. They were needed because of the pandemic. And, you know, and that, I think that 1 year kind of was a big reason why, you know, you were able to get this position, because, you know, they saw how flexible you are to adjust to all these different things that were thrown at you. And I mean, yeah, I think that's if you ask me, that's one of the biggest reasons why, you know.
Yeah, it was tough. You know, even this position, it's like a 24/7 position. You know, things are always happening. You know, it's you know, there's times where on Sundays I'd be having to go out on the site to take pictures, and, help be a liaison for the county on, Saturday mornings, waking up and seeing a newspaper article about the county and, kind of starting an email, hey, just giving a heads up. So, yeah, I enjoy work. I enjoy being productive. I think I'm one of those people where, if you put me in the forest with an axe, I'm gonna start chopping trees and making paper, or I'm just gonna start working for no reason than just to work. And so, it's like I said, it's a position that really suits me well, and I think that's what excites me. It's a position that really suits public information. It's letting people know what's going on.
Yeah.
And, all my experiences of how, going back to, say, I was a volunteer, community service worker, even as an elected official, although there's two separate responsibilities. And I understand what it's like to be on that board, to be a trustee or board member responsible for decision making, for policy. For schools, schools had a lot too to deal with this past year. It's continue. And as a board member, juggling the struggles parents are facing, myself, with work, with a child at home, and a workforce to ensure that they had the proper protection and safety and trust. So I understand that aspect as well of an elected official, having to make decisions, and I guess knowing that, I think it helps our board as well. Hey, this is what I think people would like to know, or perhaps what you could say, or messaging. And so, all these experiences in life have just helped me, led me to this point. And I guess that's, like I said, that's what it feels like. Everything led to this. And now now I'm excited what's next, but obviously focusing on the task at hand. But it's funny how life works sometimes.
Yeah, it's crazy. And just, this year was so crazy that, for you, like it's kind of coming. Well, hopefully this whole deal, the pandemic, is, hopefully coming to an end pretty soon. So, for you this year, ended in a kind of like a good note, like getting this new position and being able to help out the county and, at a top level. So it's crazy that, you were able to get that position in this crazy year that we had.
Yeah. I did not expect to get this position, at the beginning of this whole thing. I just, they called me for assistance. It's for help. Hey, it's my job. At the end of the day, whatever I can do to support our county or the people, I'll do it. And that's what I did throughout the past year. Just what was asked of me. And so, hold on real quick.
Uh-huh.
So sorry, I'm making pizza today.
Oh.
So I think because they can't hear you. So it's like, I think so. I'm just me talking to myself. So, but I'm making pizza tonight. So
that's good.
But they're making, not me. No, we are. They are. Penelope. My apologies. Penelope is making pizza tonight. So, but I said all these experiences, all these different perspectives just helped me. I think helped me in this new role that I'm excited to do.
So I saw that like a month ago you went down to Mex and performed with the guys from Chicali Stand Up. Shout out to Eder and Julio Ver and Chileno. Who else is part of that group?
Sail.
Oh yeah.
Sail.
There's a couple of guys that I
Yoli. There's a few.
So does this, was that your last stand-up performance for a while?
No. I plan on going down there again, and one thing I need to improve on is my Spanish. And so I'm constantly, that's why I went, because I need to, we're a binational region, and my Spanish I can get by. I understand it. I don't have the confidence in speaking it. It's something I've constantly worked on. I've CDs in my truck. I figure, what better way to go? Hey, if I'm telling people to get better at public speaking in English to do stand-up comedy, why not me just go up and do it somewhere in Spanish?
Yeah.
And So I plan on going back there again and doing another open mic in Spanish. Just overall, it's fun, it's enjoyable, but also, like I said, what I can get from it. I really need to get better at my Spanish. Something I've been trying to for a very long time, and I think that's one way to accelerate it. You're just going up and doing it in Spanish, talking Spanish, speaking Spanish.
Yeah, it's crazy because I remember the one time we went to Mex and did stand up. I tried to do it in Spanish, and I think I did worse than you did, but you did yours in English that one time. But I think you made more people laugh than I did in Spanish. So
I did. You know what? I did well. Like, so like I said, I was doing comedy since I was 18, 17 years old, and there's certain structures and jokes and how you word things and inflection and tone. So I kind of got a good understanding, and I did about 4 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes. And I did very well, surprisingly well. It was fun. It was real fun. And, those guys over there I've always said, are building up something really great. Yeah. And anything I can do to support. And so, I look forward to, like I said, going back and improving my Spanish, interacting with some really funny, intelligent people, and also supporting the comedy scene down there. Mm. And so, I'll be going back. I'll probably be going there to do comedy than here. Just, So, it's fun. I said, I'll definitely go back.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, talking about those guys are really, really, cool. I remember that one time we went, we were going to get a cab ride back. And I remember Julio was like, oh, no, I'll give you guys a ride to the border. And they're really interested. They were really interested in, how the comedy scene was down here and how they could, come over and do, do like a show over here. And I mean, I always watch other stuff, and he's super funny. Those guys are super funny. And unfortunately the pandemic happened and it kind of like slowed everything down for them, but it seems like they're picking up again. So that
was their first show. The last time I went to a show was last March. That was Julio Vad's birthday show.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That was back in March. Mm-hmm. And then the pandemic, and they didn't have any show, and so the first show back was an open mic recently. Mm-hmm. And so it was it felt good to see everyone. They even said we haven't seen anyone since March. Got everyone in the same, it was outside, so I've never been in the same area though since last March. So it was really good. But that ties into going back to the binational relationships, right? Mm-hmm. With Mexicali and Imperial Valley. Like, we're one region. And so I think we need to take advantage of that. We live next to a metropolis. And there's some, misperceptions about Mexico, I think. But it's a really great city, Mexicali especially. It's very diverse. I've just recently been kind of discovering a lot of artists from Mexicali. One thing in my office is I have a few artists. Just bought another piece of art from some guy in, I don't even know where he is, I think Connecticut, a Batman kind of painting. But I have a lot of art in my office. It's one thing the first thing I did was put up various pieces of art from local artists and various artists. And so I've been finding a lot of artists from Mexicali, very talented people. Mm-hmm. There's a saying, Nepantla, which is like an in-betweenness. I say our area is that. It's like we're in between two cultures, and in there can be some confusion, anxiety, but I think that this environment cultivates creativity. It's being in that kind of state with two different clashing cultures, ideas, nations, really produces something very unique. And I think there's a lot of talented artists in our region, not just in Mexicali, but also in the Valley. And so it's another scene. They have a comedy scene, they have like a really good art scene. Is exploring that. I have a coworker who's knows lots of places, really knows a lot about Mexicali that we've talked about going and checking out, like I said, the art scene. They just put a museum, I think a Chinese museum.
Oh yeah. Just before the pandemic, they were working on they call it Chinesca, or no. No, Chinesca. Yeah, I think it's a Chinesca.
Not Chinesca. Yeah.
So they did really cool art in the alleyways, and then they kind of like they did really really pretty and nice. and then the pandemic happened. So, but
Yeah.
I really wanted to go, but yeah, like I said, the pandemic. And then that area where the La Catedral's at, they closed it off and they did it like a little hangout area. I know that I've been seeing people rollerblade on Sundays and
Yeah,
hang out.
before the comedy show, I walked a little bit and I saw the church and the bells toll, and it was really nice.
Mm.
And so even before the pandemic, I would take part in meetings, and they're revitalizing downtown Mexicali Rose, and so they had a lot of plans in place to revitalize Mexicali and just build a bigger, better Mexicali. Revitalize that downtown, that port of entry where when you walk in, it's a site you want to see that's welcoming. So, the city's making a lot of progress. I think as a county, as a valley, we can work more with them to really spur, like I said, binational travel, tourism. It is a metropolis. It's a big city, and it's all nightlife, great food, recreational activities, sporting events, baseball, the basketball team. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to build some relationships that can really benefit, like I said, tourism, relationships, our economy. Obviously the pandemic, there's some safety measures that still need to be worked out. But I think once we get through this, I look forward to establishing more relationships and just kind of really capitalizing on this binational region. I think there's a lot of potential for us to flourish with what we have to offer as a valley, as a county, and what Mexicali has to offer. They have a big metropolis city, and there might not be a lot of the same recreational activities, like city kind of activities here, but we have the dunes, we have Salton Sea, we have a lot to offer.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's
and
exciting.
Even as big as Mexicali is, sometimes it doesn't feel that big because every so often you'll hear stories where like, oh, so and so, yeah, that's my cousin. Oh, we still hang out, and so like it's, even though it's so big, it's still there's times when you feel it's a small community because like you'll meet people along the way that are related to somebody, and you end up hanging out in the future and stuff like yeah, I feel that what the valley needs and Mexicali needs, it's that sense of trying to make it feel like we're a small community, because in a sense we kind of are. And I feel like Calexico, that's something that we really need. Right now we're really there's a lot of political things happening that we're really divided right now, and we really need to come back as a community and enjoy what we have and each other, and especially right now that in the pandemic, we haven't really seen a lot of of our friends and stuff like that. Right now we need to set a lot of issues aside and help each other out, talk to each other in a more positive way, and because everybody's going through something right now, and we just need to get past through this and like I don't know, it's there's so many things happening in Calexico that a lot of people might not know if you're not from Calexico, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah. I think going back, one way I think to bring people together is through the arts, right? It's not just that to mean paintings and murals, but music, stand-up comedy, even fashion, right? I think going back to Angels, the last art walk he had was at 4th of July.
Yeah, we were there.
And I met so many people. I met Fro there. I met a bunch of artists.
That's true.
Did some shopping, some great food. And then you had the fireworks being shot from across the border.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
So it's, that kind of thing, those kind of things where, I saw amazing chalk artists from Mexicali chalking a Statue of Liberty in Calexico. It's beautiful. And so I think that going back to, I think that's why it attracts me to the arts. I know art can bring people and bring people together and build bridges, like indirectly, right? Sometimes you're at a comedy show laughing with someone, you don't even know who that person is, but you guys are sharing a moment. Yeah. You guys are laughing at the same thing, and you guys might even disagree. And one might agree with what the comedian's saying, the other might, but it's also funny and engaging and perspective that's laughter. And so I think the arts is one way to bring people together. I know, like I said, the Calexico, what's going on. But I think, like I said, it's a tough time right now for everyone. And I think as there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and as we approach that light and then get past it, these things like art, these events that are going to bring people together are really going to spur relationship building and get us through the next step and then pave the way for what's next.
Yeah, for sure. So what are some of the projects that you're currently working on that you can maybe share with us, from the county?
This is my first week. So, right now, just getting settled, getting familiar with the different departments, although I'm very familiar already, just making those connections, and not just with different departments, but the media as well in my role and how I can share information and gain to know different members of the media. I was also with the community. I mean, not that I need an introduction, I think, but I'll be going around to different city councils and different boards, introducing myself, how we can collaborate. So right now is just really settling in, kind of paving the next steps. Obviously, I said tourism is a big thing, and how we can promote some of the things of the county. I know hemp is is a growing industry that we're looking at in the county, and I know it talks of us once events and conventions are begin again next year, how we can start spreading the word on what we can offer. But right now, like I said, projects is just settling in, building relationships. Right now, I just want to really focus on building relationships with, the county departments, with the community. Some people may still remember me from my podcast, and perhaps I got to go and introduce myself and let them know, hey, no, I represent the county now. I'm not like that no more. But, just that's my focus right now. Obviously, there's going to be things on the pipeline that I have ideas for that I think I can help. That'll help the county. Right now, just focusing on the immediate things at hand right now and planning the next steps.
Have you gotten any you mentioned your podcast? Have you gotten any weird responses because of somebody that know you from your podcast?
No, like I said, going back to the support I got, or just seeing the positive feedback. I don't expect any negative. You never know, right? You never know. But the positive feedback, I think, like you said, going back to I've changed, I've grown. I think people have seen that. Like, I didn't have to say that. I don't think I've ever said that other than maybe here, but I'm not on Facebook, hey, I've grown. It's just, I think people have seen it, just a progression. So no, I think there's one comment like, hey, I missed when you had that show. And that's a compliment. But no, I think too, if anything, people just know that, hey, I was someone that was always out there. I think too, I saw people put, oh, great fit. I think at the end of the day, whatever I was saying, how I was saying it, I think people respected that I was putting myself out there, and just letting people know what's going on, at least from my perspective. Whether I was right or wrong, or what side I was on, I think at the end of the day, I thought I was doing a good service and just letting people know what's happening. Yeah, it's my take. Yeah, I'm probably going to say a joke about it. Yeah, I'm going to give a spin. But at the end of the day, hey, I'm trying to let you know what's going on. And I think, like I said, they got a lot of people respect. It built me credibility. I think it built trust. At the end of the day, I think it built trust. Now I can, leverage that goodwill that I've built throughout the past years into this new role.
Yeah, and I think for me, in the beginning, because you already had a little following. People were the people that came on your show, you kind of already knew, and then it slowly started spreading the word on your podcast. For me, it was I had to gain people. A lot of people were like, "What's a podcast? Who are you?" Nobody knew me, so I'm like, "Oh no, trust me, I'm not gonna put you on the spot. I'm just gonna talk to you." So for me, it took me a while to kind of get the people's trust to be on the podcast. And luckily, now I have a lot of people that reach out to me and be like, "Hey, can I be on your podcast? I want to share about this project we're working on, or this." Other things going on in the community. So yeah, it's funny how like I said, people knew you because, you know, you're outspoken. I'm not really that outspoken. I don't. I try not to get in a lot of drama, but I mean, not that you were getting drama, but like you were speaking your mind and sharing your opinions. I think I don't know. I don't like that attention. So
Yeah.
for me, it was like,
At times I didn't either, man. At times I didn't either.
yeah, I remember times where like you would tell me like, oh yeah, so and so threatened to sue me or whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, so to me, like it took me a while to get people to kind of like trust me and be on the podcast, and it's funny how things kind of like work for.
And honestly, during this pandemic, I worked with some people that I perhaps didn't see eye to eye with prior. This pandemic really, I think, put in perspective for a lot of people the importance of relationships, of us, what we mean as we're all in this together. Hearing that, and I think for many, it kind of made us really think like, oh, we are all in this together.
Yeah.
I'm from Brawley, but you're from Los Angeles. We're still the Valley. Like our county still is heavily impacted, and so there's some people, prior to March 2020, where if you'd asked me about that, but during this pandemic, I had to work with them, or I worked with them some way. I communicate with them, and got a whole new perspective on many people throughout this. Not even people I might not have worked with, but seeing people, put in the work or get the word out or move and shake certain things. And so, yeah, I think, like I said, this pandemic helped shape the way I saw things and people, and like I said, what it means when it says we're all in this together. And so I said, everyone went through something in 2020 and the whole pandemic, and I was no exception. I was no different. I've learned a lot of reflection. It was a pretty wild year. That, like I said, we're still in it, but it feels, everything I learned, everything I experienced, I try to take something from it, and seeing people put in the work and in behalf of the Valley, really changed how I saw and interacted with people.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy how a lot of people. I mean, we should take pride in our towns, but proud to be from Calexico. But at the end of the day, like we're on the Valley, if you take an aerial picture of the Valley, like we're in the middle of nowhere, and it's just us, right? So we gotta learn how to work with each other and support each other in every way we can, because we're, like I said, we're in the middle of nowhere, and we saw, I mean, we were in the freaking national news, because of COVID, and it wasn't pretty. It was really, really ugly, and that kind of shows you how we gotta help each other out and be there for each other. And you saw a lot of people pulling through for other people, like if you need I remember going to Facebook groups where people would be like, oh, if anybody's sick, if you need groceries, let me know, I'll pick them up and drop them off at your house. And all these little things that you're like, damn, there's people in our Valley that are that good-hearted, that they're willing to help anybody they don't even know on Facebook. It's and it like you said, like everybody went through something, but it looks like we're pulling through, we're getting out of this, and yeah, like it's crazy that we're like this little big town in the middle of nowhere, and we gotta learn how to work with each other.
Yeah, it's just us. We're from Brawley, from Calexico, Calapat, Highland. Hey, we're all from the Valley. We're all from the county. And so, and not only that, you saw, like I said, the binational, how we're so related and impacted. What happens in Mexicali impacts us. What happens here impacts Mexicali. And so that also, I think, honed in that. I never knew who the mayor of Mexicali was prior to this year, and I got to meet the mayor, who's now running for governor. And so hopefully we can continue that trend of where the people from the Valley know who the mayor is. I think we should know. And so I think a lot of you heard that word essential, non-essential. A lot of things that were vital, and essential information and things we should know, I think, kind of got brought to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
And we should know who the mayor of Mexicali is. We should know what issues are on border crossings to facilitate smoother transition, smoother crossings for those who work here and there. And so, no, I think that was an interesting thing I learned as well, and I think we can take from it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I didn't really know who she was till like this year probably. I didn't know she was that young either. She's like 34, I think, 34, 35.
Yeah,
she's possibly the next governor of Baja California. Governor.
Yeah, so I could say I met the governor if she wins, but we should know.
Mm-hmm.
As far as much too as people go to Mexico, come back and forth, not just for work, but going back to a lot of great restaurants, a lot of amazing restaurants. There's a nightlife. There's for family going back to saying, hey, there's relatives. There's those relationships should be stronger. I think Will moving from this, working from the air district. I saw a lot of the air district work closely with Mexicali on behalf of the air. From Border 2020, AV 617, Imperial Mexicali Air Quality Task Force. So from that level, there's relationships there, and it's capitalizing on that for different sectors, for different, different industries and different organizations. And I think you'll get that. I think you'll see that even some of the art walks. There's, like I said, people from Valley and Mexicali. So I think those relationships are everywhere, and now it's just how can we bring them together for a single vision that can benefit our entire region. So there's a lot of potential, I think, moving forward. Obviously, we have to get through this pandemic in a safe manner, but I think moving forward, I think there's gonna be a lot of progress as soon as we're able to.
Yeah, and something that I think me and you mentioned a while back was the fact that we kind of like hate hearing like there's a lot of potential. So knowing that there's potential, and like you've hated people mentioning that word and not really.
No, I say it all the time now. Huh?
So no, but I mean like not really following through and make sure that potential comes to life.
Yeah.
I feel that that potential is in good hands with you. Knowing that like kind of where to go in turn. Like you mentioned the art. I think art is a really good way to bring the community together and bind those relationships we have with Mexicali and every city here in the valley. So yeah, it makes me feel good that you're there and I know that
and understanding that it's bigger than one person. Right? It's bigger than me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it goes back to the relationships that I might not be here, in a year or years from now, but I built relationships where, hey, there's a mission, there's a vision, and that others can carry that on, and so, there's a lot of potential. I understand that it's going to take everyone. And I think that's why I'm really big on the relationship build, and that it can kind of get spread out and to ensure that whatever needs to be accomplished to fulfill this potential will be because of the network, because of the individuals that are working towards this goal. So, yeah, I think I got understanding of that, and I think that'll help me as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know it's Saturday afternoon, and you want to go hang out with Penelope and Holly. So
I gotta go to the store and get some pizza ingredients. It's one thing I said during the pandemic is we stayed home more, and I've shared with you this is, I've stayed home more. I've spent more time with the family than before, and good and bad sometimes, right? Sometimes we get stir crazy, all of us in the same house for 5 days at a time. Yeah. But I made sure she did her schoolwork, but she learned how to bake. Like she learned some skills that I don't think she would have learned without the pandemic. Don't get me wrong, she struggled. We all struggled. I've seen her friends not being on that playground, but she did. We try to make the most of it. I think if one thing I hope Penelope learned from this is, no matter what is thrown at us, just keep pushing forward. Make the most of it. That's what I try to do, and that's what Holly's trying to do, is just make the most of this crazy time. And yeah, one thing she learned how to bake. I mean, she'll make a cake from scratch.
Oh wow!
Completely from scratch. Not from the box. I mean, sometimes she gets the flour and the eggs, and she's got a KitchenAid, and I give her the free reins. You know, she's like, I want to make a cake. I'm okay.
And baking is really like kind of like scientific because you know you got to follow measurements and it's not an easy task. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And I let it leave. Holly will go to work, and I want to make a cake. I think she knows. She waits till Holly goes to work because I let her make a mess. Okay, go ahead. She'll just be in that kitchen toiling away, and I hear the stuff moving and shaking and stirring, and then she pulls it out. Even now, she won't even need help turning on the oven. Before, she's like, I need the oven turned on. Can you put it in? Now she puts it in herself.
Wow.
And gets it out, and she make the frosting from scratch.
Wow.
The last few though, she'll be doing Roblox while making a cake, and it's kind of affected the quality a little bit. And I tell them, hey, you gotta be multitasking.
Yeah.
Either way, she's playing Roblox while making a cake, and this cake still comes out pretty well.
Maybe she should start selling her cakes at Brownies.
I think so. And so, yeah. So that's one thing. Like I said, if anything, we got from this whole thing was baking, and actually picked up some skills that she didn't have before. So right now, she wants to make pizza. It's fight night. There's a couple big fights tonight. So, Holly's mom will come over, and so her grandma will come over, and I'll make some food. She'll make a pizza. Maybe she'll make some dessert, and that was kind of our little pastime.
I turned. To me, it was the opposite. I became my son's personal chef. And he doesn't cook for shit.
I cook. I make breakfast and I make dinner. But Pal is just a dessert maker and baker. So we kind of had a little trade off there. And then Holly helps with the cleaning because I make a huge mess. Penelope me and Penelope both just make huge messes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Holly has to clean it up.
I work in the back of the house, so like I've learned how to. I'm a good clean as you go kind of guy. So
not me.
I'm really like whenever I'm cooking and after I cook, like I need to clean up because I don't know. It brings me back to.
I feel like you cook a lot from Sam the Cooking Guy's recipes.
Oh, yeah, that guy's good. I like that guy.
Yeah, I feel like you like that. Yeah, I cooked one or two things from him. YouTube's helped a lot. Binging with Babish. I like that.
There's a Mythical Kitchen. I don't know if you.
I don't think I've seen that one yet.
Do you know Red and Link from Mythical?
Oh yeah.
Well, they have like a cooking YouTube channel, but it's not them. They have like another crew doing the cooking. And I kind of I've done a couple of the recipes. The other day I made hot Cheetos fried chicken.
Oh, how was that?
I needed more hot Cheetos. It wasn't spicy enough for me. But it was good. I think fried chicken is something that I started to make during the pandemic, and I really like it. I think it goes toe to toe with KFC's fried chicken.
Okay, I got to try that out. What's really good is French toast, but get cornflakes, and you crunch them up. And, you dip French toast in the egg, and then before you dip it in crushed cornflakes, and then you throw it on the pan, and the cornflakes give it like a nice crunch.
Is it Frosted Flakes or what cornflakes are you using?
No, you just regular cornflakes, because the Frosted Flakes I think you use Frosted Flakes, but I think it make it a little sweet, especially with the sugar or the syrup, and maybe you want a powdered sugar. But the cornflakes, and you throw some powdered sugar and then the syrup.
I gotta try that then.
Yeah, you gotta. I forgot where I got that recipe from, but yeah, we did a lot of cooking too. But now we also had for Christmas I got a pasta maker, so she'll make. She hasn't done it in a while, but she'll make pasta, and then I'll do a little recipe and the thing. So yeah, we learned some skills over the past year that, like I said, we wouldn't have learned, in the past.
Yeah.
The meeting I would have had to go to in Calexico and take up my 6 to 9. I could now do, from home during the Zoom. maybe even off camera. I won't say that. And while I'm cooking, just sometimes there's some meetings where I'm not gonna speak. I just gotta hear what's going on, and I'll be off camera. But hey, help me cook or help and do something else. So,
yeah, I did that too a lot here in the house when I was working from home.
Yeah. So yeah, we keep efficient.
Any closing thoughts?
No, like I said, I'm really grateful for this opportunity. I really am humbled by this opportunity to be the public information officer for the county on so many levels. Just not as a career county employee, but just I love the Valley. I don't see myself leaving the Valley anytime soon. And what better way to serve our Valley than, being a point of communications and information and on behalf of people who not just work for the county but live here. People who work for the county live in the Valley, and so it's layers to it. And so I'm not just representing the workers, I'm representing people who live here, our neighbors, or your family members of someone you may know or of yourself. So there's a lot of great people. So when I say there's a lot of potential, it's because I've seen firsthand of really amazing people throughout the Valley, not just that work for the county, but just in general. Like you're doing this podcast and informing people. You got people who are putting on community events. You got people who are advocating just because, they don't get anything out of it other than a sense of pride of knowing that they're doing something for the community. I understand the podcast. I never had one sponsor, and I said there's a lot of times where I thought, is this worth it? And right then, I thought what I was doing was right and a good service. So, my closing remarks is just, I look forward in serving in this role. I'm 31. I feel older sometimes, but people remind you're still young. And I don't feel it. I don't feel it sometimes, but it's really exciting. Yeah, I think. People talk about millennials sometimes, but now we're millennials are in their 30s now. We're in our 30s now. We're not kids anymore. We're adults with families, and so I think I can help us lead the way for the generation that may be retiring and maybe want to take a rest, and also the generation that's coming up, and we can kind of be this these guiders, these leaders for the community. So yeah, it feels good to be in this role. It feels good to just how it came to be, from being young and dumb to a volunteer to various roles to assisting in a pandemic to now in this position. Life has a funny way of working out, and life has a way of putting you where you need to be. And you may not want to be there, you may not expect it, but it's where you need to be. And I was where I needed to be throughout this pandemic, and I took advantage of these opportunities. And knowing that, I think, kind of drives me to do as much as possible, because I was granted with some really great opportunity over the last year, and just be only right to take advantage of them for the people.
Yeah, for sure. Well, congratulations on your new position. Thank you for taking this time on a nice Saturday afternoon. It's crazy because Saturdays, it's kind of like the only day I'm not rushing around like work, trying to help cooking and cleaning and all this stuff. Like Saturday afternoons is like you said, like I don't wake up early. I wake up really late. I sleep in because I stay up late on Fridays. It's my like me time. I'll play video games and maybe stream on twitch.tv/ Que Pasa Calexico.
There you go. Plug it.
Yeah. So Saturdays are like my little me time. But yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time. You can come back whenever you want and share any information that the county has to offer.
Or get your interviews with some department heads, with some managers, some staff. A lot of great work. Like I said, you've seen some of the programs, like a scholarship program that just came out. Sheriffs just had an all-women swearing-in ceremony before. So there's a lot of things happening.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things happen. One more thing, I think sometimes, like I said, a lot of departments are small. We're a small county. So people might be so busy doing just the daily jobs and things they need to do that promoting these things they're not able to, because there's so much is going on. And so I think that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, for sure.
How to promote some of these happenings. So yeah, definitely get you connected with some people, and so you can have a slate of guests that can share more about what they're doing.
For sure. Alrighty, Gil. Well, thank you once again. Thank you guys for listening or watching. Make sure you continue to be safe. Wear your face mask. Wash your hands. Social distance if you haven't been vaccinated and you're meeting people that you don't know where they've been. And so, let's continue to trend, these numbers down. And we're getting there. We're almost there. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.